Free will versus predestination. Classic theological debate. Did I really choose this topic for today's video? Or was it always going to happen? And what does the Bible have to say? Let's take a look.
Attention, bargain shoppers.
So this is an interesting topic, not only from a biblical perspective, but also from a human perspective. Do we actually have the freedom to make choices and influence events, or is everything just playing out the way it was meant to? This is a key point of contention with Calvinists versus Arminians. Calvinism emphasizes God's sovereignty, believing that God predestines individuals for salvation. Arminianism, on the other hand, emphasizes human free will, believing that individuals have a choice to accept or reject God's grace. And this is interesting because it kind of feels like both could be a little bit true. However, these are mutually exclusive ideas. This is a debate where you can't really believe parts of one thing and parts of another. You kind of have to land hard on one side. Why? Think about it like this. You might think people choose to follow Jesus, right? I mean, I was always told that in church, that we have a decision to make. However, if that is true, what you're really saying is that God is not in control. That's what we call sovereignty. Arminians do believe that God is sovereign, but that he's limited when it comes to man's freedoms. I mean, if it's really left up to you, God can't know what you will choose until you've chosen it. If there are physics nerds out there, it's kind of like you would exist in superposition, both being saved and unsaved at the same time until you finally make that decision. However, if you believe God is completely sovereign, all-powerful, with no limits, then we don't have free will, and everything is just playing out the way it was meant to happen. So there we go. Those are the two sides of the debate. Now let's look at what the Bible has to say. I'm going to tell you up front that the mechanism of how this all works together is up for debate. However, the idea of predestination itself is absolutely biblical. We look at Ephesians 1:5, which reads, "He predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ in accordance with his pleasure and will." Or we look at verses like Romans chapter 8, "For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to an image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters, and those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." Now, although predestination is very biblical, the Bible also teaches that human beings are accountable for their actions. If we look at Romans 2:12, it reads, "All who sin apart from the law will also perish apart from the law. All who sin under the law will be judged by the law." So you'd be forgiven if you felt like this stuff is kind of difficult to wrap your mind around. I mean, if we're going to be judged on our decisions, we probably have free will, right? I mean, it certainly feels like we have free will. I chose to put on a black shirt today, but surprisingly, that may not be the case. I've heard it described once as like a pool table. You break in the beginning and all the balls get jostled around and then come to rest in a certain position. Now, we all know in real life, it would be impossible to do that exactly the same way again. But if you could, recreate everything exactly the same, the airflow, the temperature, the way you hit the cue ball, if you did everything exactly the same, then the balls would come to rest in exactly the same spots. So if you knew how the game was going to play out, it's predestined. The balls still need to interact with each other, still need to bounce off each other to get where they're going. But just like a cosmic Big Bang, all the pool balls have to land where they're going. We do have free will in the sense that we're capable of making choices, but our choices are built on things that have come before, just like in the pool game. So at the end of the day, we're called upon to choose to have faith. We have responsibility for our actions. However, God is completely sovereign, all-knowing, all-powerful. He's seen the pool game play out from start to finish. So the weird truth is, everything is probably playing out just the way it's meant to. That's all I got for you today. Feel free to share your comments below. I read all the comments and I will respond to them. It just might take me a little bit. I'll also put some verses in the description that we use for this video. My name is Adam. This is Bargain Bin Theology, and remember, you get what you pay for.